Welcome, everyone, to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this podcast is about the ups and downs of dating and how to navigate through it. Today, my guest is Sarah Hinkes. We just practiced this like 30 seconds ago. Did I get your last name right?
You did great.
Okay.
Hinkes.
Hinkes. She is the founder of Sparks Dating. Sparks Dating hosts in-person events that provide a safe, fun, and guided environment for participants to meet and like-minded individuals and spark genuine chemistry. Sarah says people are ready to meet face to face again. Sarah, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. How are you?
Absolutely my pleasure, William. Thank you for having me.
So listen, it's my honor. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself. What was that journey like? Why start Sparks Dating? What was it in the marketplace that you saw? And what was that like aha moment?
Thank you so much. So you said you were from New York City. I'm actually spent some time out in Boston.
Right.
About 10 years ago or so, I started talking to people that were joining the dating revolution. I'm the eldest of two sisters myself. There's three of us. So
Yeah.
obviously we've had a lot of experience, if you would, with the aforementioned dating apps and where the modern dating trends are going.
Mhm.
And I saw respectfully a lot of frustration because dating apps can be such a hit or miss. And one of the things I learned was whether you have a good date, an okay date, and even, sorry, a bad date, the dating app's like, hey, no problem. Let's just get back out there again and swipe right and do it all over again. It doesn't
Right.
really account for the anguish, frustration, feelings that go into having the guts and the self confidence built to go on that first date in the first place. And I know we're in a world of AI technology. I know someday I could even have a butler, the robot, right? But hopefully not. But I love the Jetsons like anyone else growing up. But to
Yeah.
live in an industry where love should be, to me, one of the most organic and natural conversations that humanity can provide in all ways, whether it's friendship, whether it's work colleagues, whether it's just saying hello to the random stranger on the street. And I feel personally that the dating app industry has fast forwarded all that and sort
Mhm.
of moved past the humanity part. I have no disrespect at all for the dating app industry. I have watched leaderships like, Whitney on Bumble, go to the top and really give women a voice, and I applaud her for that. But I'm just asking a very simple question. If love is such a humane thing, why don't we approach it as it's meant to be approached organically? Why isn't the
Mhm.
person that we wake up to in the morning good enough for ourselves and our partner? And how do we get that out there? So, with the birth of Sparks Dating, I thought, what if we put our phones down in actual conversations and meeting people? Bring together in a healthy, safe environment where we can just mix and mingle and talk. And it's not even about saying, I'm single, right? Because that's a huge faux pas step right there to even admit
Right.
that. I don't want to be that person that's, oh God, I'm single, everyone's looking at me, right? It's just, hey, I want to try something different. I want to meet different people. And then if a spark happens, the universe will find a way to tell us. And then we can, go from there. But I just want to start a conversation. I am starting a conversation where I'm questioning the morals and values of the dating app industry and taking a look at what organic dating can do from a mental health perspective, especially.
I and I have to agree with you. Well, for me, I'm not a fan of apps, dating apps at all. I had my, moments and all that, but I just figure I'm more of an in-person
Mhm.
type of to meet people in person. And I like, but one of the things I liked about your like bio when I read it is like-minded events, if that makes sense. I
Mhm.
think, and I've been seeing online and, women complaining whether it's Atlanta or Houston or wherever city, and they're walking out of a lounge and it said there was like 90 women and two guys. And all these women were beautiful. Where are the guys? So I don't know if it's a different situation depending on the city or because men are being told not to approach women. Women are saying don't bother us. So I'm again, what I'm reading is guys are staying away from events because they're like,
Mhm.
well, what chance do I have? Because now some women have a checklist. I heard one this morning, Sarah, where some woman
Mhm.
had I think a 46-point checklist, and
Oh, wow.
supposedly some guy checked all of the boxes. I don't
Oh,
believe it. I just think he probably was very hand.
46.
That's
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a
I
lot of
should have
pressure.
saved that exactly. So I said to myself, well, either that guy was extremely good looking and she missed the other 45, and she said this is it. But I'm just saying, getting back to
Mhm.
the point, um, can in-house dating or in-person dating, can it make a comeback? Because again, you could use the dating apps and just swipe left or right. You know, you
Mhm.
could ghost people. You don't have to always match. But in person dating, now you're talking to someone face to face, which I prefer anyway. So, can it make a comeback in most cities, or if not all cities, because of the apps and Instagram?
Absolutely. Are you there? Sorry, I had a bit of a tech difficulty. My
No, no, you were
apologies.
good. I saw you. Yeah, yeah, you're good.
My screen popping up all sorts of things. Got to watch that. No, to answer your question, Sparks Dating is the name of my company, but what I'm doing are what's called Sparks Up Socials. So
Okay.
they're just creating social time for people, men and women, like to get together and to just talk to each other. And I am looking at age groups. I am looking at shared interests as well. I am having conversations with men and women ages 35 and up to ask what is they're looking for to make their experience more viable and more enjoyable. I am going to be looking to do some recreational things as well as a step up in the restaurant circuit as well for dining, but that's more for the serious takers that actually do want to meet and date and go from there. But it all starts with the hello. It all starts with having a shared conversation, a smile over a drink or, a fabulous mocktail,
Right.
and that's what we want to promote. We want to bring people together to just say the hello. And if we can get to that point, then I'm confident the rest will take its place.
So how do you figure out the like-minded events? Like how do you set that up? Because that, to me,
Mhm,
I think that's a great idea because years ago when when I was interested in real estate investing,
mhm.
like
Yeah.
actual property, I would go to the event and I would meet women. Obviously it would be like, maybe 25 guys and 10 women, but I
A
still got to
little
meet a
better.
few of them. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So how do you come up with the like-minded events? So
Mhm.
like, do you get a survey from the women and men and then just set that up? Can you
Sure.
speak more
So
about that? Yeah.
absolutely. So I've been focusing on the major cities for Chicago as of right now, major
Okay.
neighborhoods, excuse me, of Chicago right now. So I'm looking at the demographics of, age groups in Chicago, men, women in Chicago, so forth. And then I'm looking to see what's that new hot trendy restaurant or bar that everyone wants to
Mm,
go to. And then I'm partnering with the owners so that it's not about making profit or anything for us. It's more about getting people there to have that experience together. And
right.
then if they like it to continue on, then we'll invite them to the next step, which would be a more intricate evening where it'd be a lock-in event where you would go to a 3 4 hour dining event. We would take your phones at the door and we would literally just let sparks fly for the night over great food and wine.
I love that. Let the sparks fly. I love that. Okay, so because I like, again, going back to the idea of just
Hmm.
of like-minded events, because I see that more people when they do throw these events,
Hmm.
it's just a singles event. That's what they call it. And I don't know if the
Or
guys
a
are not
networking event.
networking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. With like-minded, if if you like skiing or you like videos, whatever it is, I think you could definitely do more of business that way because at least you already got something in common. Not with
Mhm.
you starting off with, like you said, hello, but at least now you got something in common, even if it's a business networking event or whatever. Am I in the ballpark there?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the world's the oyster as far as what we could do within our company and so forth, through the next
Yeah.
year or so. But I am looking at a couple different things. I want to do like a recreational health type event, where
Okay.
maybe somebody's, for example, on a pickleball court or something like that. And then you're having drinks, after, and you work as a team together, and that's a great way to see if there's a fit and there's a match there.
Right.
And then also, switch it to, maybe brunches or evening events and so forth. So obviously, I'm not looking to take on every hobby there is out there, but if I have our subscriber, like for example, we've had a lot of subscribers in the suburbs recently that have actually reached out and they're like, "Hey, Sparks Dating, when are you going to come to the bird? We're ready." And so
Okay.
I'm literally putting together a contract for next year to focus just on that, which I can't say more about right now.
Sure. Sure.
But I am focusing. So I'm listening to the subscribers. I'm listening to what they want to see and what they want to have. And then as I build sort of a members only club concept down the road, all of that will be taken into consideration. And I hope together we can build a platform that appeases everyone. Not
Um,
everyone, but mostly.
right. No, I get that. Would there be also besides the network events, speed dating type of events too? Again, where somebody could talk to each other for 5 minutes. Would that be something in the future you guys might host? Or
I think
I
I'd
guess
like to, yeah, no, I'd like to take a play on speed dating. I think it's an interesting way, but I think, for example, think about how much time it sometimes takes someone the courage to
yeah,
even say hello. Someone hangs out in the background and they kind of watch the party unfold, right?
yeah,
And they see someone they want to say hello to, but they're not quite there yet. So we are going to have what's called team ambassadors, where we actually will have members of the team doing icebreakers, playing games, breaking up conversation, bringing people together for a laugh and so forth. And I think
right,
that would really help. I can't say yes or no to the speed dating question because I'm open to any and all conversation right now and see
right.
where it goes.
And you said 35 and up. And so how do you make the date ranges? 35 to 45, 46
Yeah.
to 50. Yeah. How would you set that up? Because I know
So,
some
yes.
older men do like some younger women, some guys like age appropriate women, some women like older men. So how would you set that criteria?
So I'm a bit of a nerd in that regard. When I first started looking at this company, I'm a total bookworm. You should know that about me. I started looking at all the demographics of the city of Chicago and the greater city outside of Chicago, the burbs, and I found it was
Yeah.
6.5 million people that were single. That's a lot of people.
Wow.
And I found that and then it goes even down from there between 2 million in the city alone, 2.4, maybe 2.7. Now it went up from last year. And I started looking at, what they did for a living. And then from that, I was able to track what age group and so forth. So that's kind of how my team and I figured out that we were 35 and up. And
Yeah.
to answer your question, you just answered it. So 35 and up, right? Everyone
Yeah.
has prerogative in terms of what their comfort and maturity, shall we say, is. So we like to just put a general out there, but we're not trying to do events respectfully of like 20 to 50, right? We don't know
Okay.
how much that will be in common. That's to say there isn't, the one-offs, but we want to at least bring it more to, if we're inviting you into a really cool new swanky club, we know that certain age groups are going to want to go and not maybe others, you're going to want to hear, you're going to want to talk, not too loudly and so forth. So we do keep that into consideration.
I wanted to fall back a little bit on the selection of the, let's say, the club or the lounges and all that.
Mhm.
So you do your research, what's the most popular, or you ask around what's the most popular nightclub or lounge, and then that's genius. I love that because if they're telling you, hey, we love Louis restaurant, for
Mhm.
lack of a better
I'm
name.
calling Louie up and I'm saying, hey, let's have a meeting. Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Like what would you talk to Louis about and say, hey, I want to just run this event here. I know
Yeah.
you can't give it too much details. I don't want you to also
I give
give
away
out
my
your
secrets.
yeah,
Yeah.
give out your secrets. But so you just call them and then you just pitch the
I go
event.
straight to the source. I find the owners of these establishments or the hardworking general managers. I
Yeah.
pitch them what we're doing about Spark dating. I say to them, what are your slowest nights? What are the nights that you want to bring in some more coverage, especially with the
You read my
month
mind. I wanted to ask you the
around the
date.
corner?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How can we work together to make it beneficial to you and so forth? And let's go ahead and get up with Sparks Up Social often, see how it goes. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's usually like a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I'm assuming it's probably their
Mhm.
slowest
I
day.
go for
What do you think?
Thursday, Wednesday, Thursdays, but yes,
Wednesday,
I
Thursday.
push
If
somewhat on the weekends, but I don't want to fulfill, for example, a very busy restaurant or club's weekend up. But a Thursday might work or a Wednesday, definitely.
okay,
I found
okay.
if you're single in the city, you're willing to go out to meet other single people, even if it's like a work night and maybe it's like from 6 to 9 or something. I mean, instead of
Yeah.
watching Netflix or that new hot show on Apple, we go out and possibly meet somebody. So when you think of it like that, it's not too hard to decide.
No, I think I think it's genius that you're doing this because again, I love the fact that you're bringing people out and having them
Thank you.
somewhat collaborate, on yeah, because again, it's just too much reliance on social media and the apps and go out there and meet people. You got
Yeah.
to break the shyness. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, Sarah, and you mentioned this earlier. Sometimes you have an event and then you see a guy, and when I used to go to singles events back before the pandemic, I would see two, three guys just sitting in the corner and not mingling where
Yeah.
everybody is at. How can you avoid that? I mean, I know that's a probably a difficult question to ask, but you've paid your money. Come on,
All
meet
right.
people. Why are you doing? You just going out just to hang out and just do what? I never got that because there's people
Sure.
there. Yeah, so go ahead, Sarah. I know
No,
it's a difficult
absolutely.
question to hang.
I mean, it's to each everyone's prerogative, but I mean, if there's first of all, if there's two or three guys that are doing that, I might introduce them to each other and walk over to them and just say, hey, how are you enjoying things? Do you have your eye on anybody? Let me introduce you. And I would literally bring them over and have them meet Patty or Sue or whoever, and then maybe start an icebreaker, oh, Patty like this, Rob like that. And then, just like old fashioned, like you would if you're having a party and you're hosting. I host these Sparks Up socials for the most part, or one of my
Yeah.
team members does. So we're always going to be available to break the ice with the Lone Ranger out there that, is a little bit shy at first, and then we'll see where it goes. But if they're not comfortable, they're not comfortable. And if someone, God forbid, didn't enjoy themselves, then I would refund their ticket. So I believe
Okay.
that they're for the altruistic purposes of what we're doing.
Yeah. Would you develop an app for Sparks? In other words, so they could, I could see the Rolodex and all that twisting in your brain. I think you should because, and you got to bring it to New York one day. So I could just be there and interview, some of the women, men, and obviously interview you in person. Cause I think it's a great idea. I really do
Thank
because
you. Thank
it's
you.
something and I keep on going back to this, but you're doing like-minded events, which I think is so important because again, that's already an icebreaker right there. And before I let you go, Sarah, first of all, thank
Sure.
you so much for being on
Of
People on
course.
Dating. I could probably talk to you for 2 hours because
Easily.
this is
You're welcome.
fascinating. Um, so what are you looking to do in the next 3 to 6 months,
Mhm.
like to get the word out and obviously, once I get this edited, I'm definitely going to give you the clips and things like that so we could definitely get it out. But what's
Mhm.
Sparks doing to let people know that this is
To
available
elevate
for
that
them?
conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So as I said, our subscribers have been asking if we would start branching out to the suburbs. I covered the city fairly well last year, so we are
Yeah.
focusing on getting some exciting things in the suburbs. I'd like to host if I have my way, I'd like to host Sparks Up socials, like a pop up, but I call them Sparks
Yeah.
Up social events once a month in the suburbs, and then mirror that once a month in the city starting in January. So it's a bit
Right.
of an ambitious endeavor right now, but that's what I'm going after. I do have a play out there for any restaurant groups that are listening, especially those in New York City that have connections in Chicago. I am looking to talk with restaurant groups that want to enjoy some free publicity and PR on our end, and then host these events together because we hear from a lot of people that love the idea of putting their phones down for a night of just ambiance. And I think restaurant groups would be the perfect platform for that. So
No, I definitely
anything
agree. Anything else you want to promote or talk about? When you're going to do your books, your book
sure. I mean,
tour, and all that.
Hashtag Sparks Dating. We
Yeah.
are on Instagram and Facebook. My wonderful PR group, Exclusive PR, I'd like to give a shout out to them because they're
Yeah.
the ones that are sort of pushing me to do this publicly.
Yeah.
And I know it's all about getting the word out, which is very exciting. So I just wanted to say something for them as well. No, just hashtag Sparks Dating. Sparks loves loves now.com. So remember the
Okay.
double S, Sparks
Yeah.
loves
Got it.
s now.com. And please, email me. I'll talk to you personally. I had a gentleman write in recently that he's like, when are your next events? I'm in my 40s. I'm newly divorced. I'm divorced in some time, and now I want to get back out there to see what I've been missing before I turn my phone into a dating app industry. And he's trying to that. So we hear you, and Adam, and we want to see what we can do to help you.
No, sounds good. Well, again, Sarah, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule
My
to be on
pleasure.
People on Dating. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, William.
All right. Bye bye.